Evening, everybody. I hope you are well tonight. I'm just checking my sound's working. Yep, it is. Good, good, good. I hope you're all well tonight. Obviously, 9 wins out of 10 so far this season for Arnie Slot. Liverpool top of the table, also joint top of the Champions League table as well, just on goal difference. Obviously 1 point clear ahead of Manchester City. Also ahead on goal difference above some of the other teams as well, because we've only conceded 3 goals two goals in the Premier League, and 4 goals in all competitions, and 23 goals scored in all competitions, with an XG against us of 0.2 per game, 0.6 per so far this season, which is pretty incredible, if I'm honest. Obviously, I'm going to do a show about latest news. I also wanted to talk about just how well we've been this season so far. Like, I know it's early doors, and I know everybody's saying that we haven't played anyone good yet, and so is our manager. Every single game, like he's said, every single game we haven't played anyone good yet. But under the previous regime, the teams that we have beaten are the teams we used to lose against. And this is what we need to understand, that we play well against good teams, and we don't play well against bad teams. And we played well against bad teams. So do you expect that we're not going to play well against good teams? Because that's in our DNA. That's exactly what we do. And also, some of these teams, they're in bad positions because we beat them. Like, they probably would be a bit higher up in the table if we hadn't have beaten them. So we need to think about that as well. If you haven't hit the like, please do. It helps the algorithm. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and also let me know in the chat if you are a new subscriber, and we'll give you a shout out. Couple of shout outs while I'm here. Big up, keep it real. Big up Booger Boy. Big up Amanim. Evening Neil. Evening LK. Evening Jen. Hope you're well. Evening IBR. Evening Craig. Evening Mikey. Evening James. Hope everybody is well. I've got loads of stuff to go through tonight. I'm also going to be live at 11 o'clock with Jamie. We're going to have a deep dive on the contract situations, and also a couple of players that we want to talk about. I'm going to whiz through quite a lot of news. I'm going to show you some pretty incredible stats. Wanted to have a talk about some good things, and then obviously some negative things. Start with a high, go with a low, and then build it back up again at the end. Also, evening James. If you have got any things you want to mention to me, or you want me to read out anything, please drop me a super chat. Helps the channel, and I'll obviously prioritize that and read it out. First thing I wanted to cover, some good things by the way, is why isn't that showing? Oh, it is. Sorry, there it is. Quansa's signed a new contract, which I think is fantastic news. Looks like he's signed a long-term contract, which means he'll get a good pay rise, because he was only on 15 grand a week for a long time, and he'll get a good pay rise. And it's good that we're looking after our players and we're getting them signed up to long-term contracts. which is something that we didn't do in the past. We had a habit of just increasing contracts and not long-term contracts. It was just like an extension here, an extension there. And kind of got us into the situation where we're at with Trent, Virgil, and Mo, because it was extension here, extension there. But Gerald's signed up for a new 5-year contract, I believe, which is great news. Konate's next, apparently. Konate's on 90,000, and this will be a bumper for him. So this will probably take him up to about 150, I think, Konate. I think Quansa's probably on around 50 now. A couple of other players which we're looking at extending contracts is Luis Diaz is one of them, and that's all I believe. Unfortunately, I know you want to hear the others, but apparently we haven't made any progress with those three, and it looks like Hughes is now concentrating on other priorities, which is going to be Quansa and it's going to be Konate, and I don't think it's going to be Robinson, who's expires next year. I don't think Diaz has signed a new contract yet. I think he's still on an old one, which has still got 3 years left, by the way. Couple more shout outs. Big up Kingsman, even in Max, even in Danny. Anyway, so that's good news. That's on the Liverpool website, but I don't want to go on there in case you get copywritten. Also wanted to cover this as well. Where is it? Where is it? I've literally just, there it is. A couple of players we're linked with. Pretty interesting as well, because we've been linked with this guy for quite a while, which is Karim Adeyemi. I mean, this name keeps on coming up, and he's still pretty young. He's only 22. He's also from the Salzburg. He's also from the Red Bull chain, where they get young players. Obviously, they play well in the Swiss league or the Austrian league. I think it's Austrian or Swiss, and then they go to Germany, normally Dortmund, normally Leipzig, and then they move on to bigger things. It looks like Adeyemi is starting to kick on. He's still only 22. I don't think he's good enough to be a forward at Liverpool just yet. I think he probably needs another year or two with some good numbers behind him. However, we are linked with him again, and just an interesting side piece that you might not know. He's also best mates with Dominic Szoboszlai, which is interesting. It's his best friend, and also Omar Mamouche. We've been linked with Omar Mamouche for around about a year now. There was a lot of rumours talking about the fact that he might have been a George Smacked signing at Wolfsburg, but he wasn't. He was at Wolfsburg before Schmacht got there. However, he's on fire this season. He's got 15 GA this season. He's got the same amount of GA as Harry Kane. And remember, Harry Kane scored like 3 penalties against some bum team in the Champions League. So Mamouche is definitely on our radar. I'd be interested to see what happens with him, because if the Premier League clubs come in, then his price will skyrocket. But if they don't, and he's only linked with, maybe Italian clubs, maybe Spanish clubs, maybe German clubs, then there might be a chance of getting him under 30 million. But he's 25. He's also an Egyptian international, so it'd be interesting. He's also left-sided, which means that would we sign him for the left? I don't really know. I don't really know with that one, but it's an interesting one to look at. But it's interesting to see that we're linked with attackers, and I'll move on to the reason why I think we're linked with attackers. Big up Red Vision. Anyone else in here who's new? No. 29 of you in here, 31. Okay, starting to pick up. This is good. If you can hit the like on the way in, that'll be great. Next up, we're going to cover. Yeah, okay. So this is also another article about Adeyemi. So Adeyemi's 40 rated at 42 million. He's obviously a speed demon. He's under contract till 2027, and he's got 5 goals and 5 assists in 8 games so far this season. So he's having a good season. We've been linked with him before, which is an interesting one. And another article as well, which was in the Echo about Mamouche. So obviously Liverpool interest in Mamouche. Is that showing on my screen? Yeah, it is. Claim that Liverpool interest in Mamouche, 25-year-old shortlist, and 25 million. I reckon he's probably 30, 35. He's got 9 goals so far this season. Pretty insane, to be fair, and he scored a lot of goals against good teams as well. By the way, he's not scoring against bum teams. He got 2 goals against Bayern Munich to get a draw. So Mamouche was, yeah. So Bayern Munich's draw up. What he did for Hugo Atiki's goal is not normal. To push past Upamecano with the strength he had, you want to watch that goal as well. It's an absolutely phenomenal run by Mamouche. The only thing about him that I've got reservations about is he spent a lot of time on loans. Like, he never really settled at a club when he was signed. So he was signed to Wolfsburg years ago, and then he went on loads of loans to like St. Pauli, and I can't remember some of the other clubs he went to. And the other thing I've got, which kind of sticks with me a bit, is there's not many forwards that actually go on to be good forwards from Eintracht Frankfurt. If you just look at some of the forwards that have left that club, you've got Jokic, you've got Sebastian Haller. I'm sure there's more, but they've never really gone on to be good forwards. So I have my reservations about that, but we'll see what happens. I think we should be linked with better players, if I'm honest. I'll probably talk about this later on Jamie's, but there's now a lot of stuff that's circulating about Liverpool are going to lose money on Darwin Núñez. His value's already decreased. He's been really poor this season. Like, sorry, like, he just has. He scored 21 goals in 69 games in the Premier League, and he's also missed 47 big chances. You know, look, we didn't sign an 85 million pound player. Whether he was 64 million and then add-ons is regardless. You know, the whole package is going to be 85 million. I think it's at like 75 now anyway. But we didn't sign this player to play in the cup games and to play in the Europa League. Like, this wasn't what we signed. Like, we signed Núñez to be our front 9, to be our main guy. He was signed to be ahead of Jota. He just was. Like, he was supposed to be the tip of the spear. and we reinvented the way we play football. And I've said this on other shows. We reinvented the way we played our attacking football. So the ball ended up with Nunes, and the guys missed 47 big chances in 69 Premier League games. It's just not good enough. Like, if you're creating that much for a player, the goal output has got to be more than 21 goals. It has to be more than 21 goals. It just has to be. Like, if you're creating that many big chances, you have to be scoring more goals. And all you have to do is just look at Jota's numbers. Like, Jota's scored 60 goals in 100 games for Liverpool. Like, that's just a fact. Like, they're Jota's numbers. He scored 60 goals in 100 games for Liverpool. Like, he's just a better finisher. Like, he's been with the club 3 years. Like, we can't be having another Benteke. We can't be having another Benteke. We can't be having another player that just isn't getting us the goals that's required. And I've said this, like you can call me a revisionist, but I've never said that Nunes was good enough for Liverpool. I've never said it. Like, when we signed him, I didn't want him. When we signed him, I was staunchly against it. When we signed him and Diaz, I thought they'd both be flops because Liverpool don't sign street ballers. The only street baller we've signed that's made it at Liverpool is Luis Suarez, and that's because Luis Suarez was world class. And that's also because Luis Suarez was just given the ball and it was like, just go, mate. Everything was just Luis Suarez. Just pass the ball to Luis Suarez. This isn't the way Liverpool are now. Liverpool is structured. Liverpool play football. Like, Liverpool aren't managed by a dumbass like Brendan Rodgers. Like, they were managed by Jurgen Klopp. Like, there's so many facets and elements to the game. And we recreated our attack, which nullified Salah to make Nunes the tip of the spear for him to get all the chances. And he never finished them. He never finished them. So, unfortunately, we aren't doing that this time round. We aren't playing it that way around. And I'll show you why. So, anyway, it looks like we're going to lose money on Nunes. It also looks like we're now linked with forwards, which I think is really interesting. These are the numbers on Nunes this season, by the way. Salah, 6 goals, 5 assists in 10 games. Diaz, 5 goals, 1 assist in 9 games. Jota, 4 goals, 2 assists in 9 games. Cody Gakpo, 2 goals, 2 assists, 10 games, but only 3 starts. Nunes, 3 starts, 1 goal, 1 assist, 7 appearances in total. And Chiesa, 3 goals, 1 assist. I mean, Chiesa already got an assist. I thought that was impressive. So he's been at the club. So he's been at the club 3 years now. Obviously, Nunes is linked to Atletico Madrid because Griezmann's contract expires, and he's also linked with Barcelona because Lewandowski's 36, and he may move to Saudi at the end of the season, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but we're looking at accepting bids around the 50, 60 million pound mark for Nunes. And I think that's probably the price he's worth, if I'm honest. He's never worth 85 million. We can talk about a million other players, but the guy who's up front for us now is Jota, and so far so good. Like, it's really interesting listening to Slot as well, because Slot's even said that he doesn't think Jota gets into the attacking positions as much as he should because he's not really a natural 9. If he's looking for a natural 9, then he's probably going to have to go and buy one because I don't think we have one at the club. I don't think we have one that's good enough anyway. I'll do a couple more shout outs while I'm here. Who we got? Okay, I've only got one new person that's arrived, and that's Mark. Evening, Mark. It's interesting with Davies because Davies is going on a free, so he could be one that we look at. Goinkres, I think Goinkres with another season behind him would make a lot of sense. Maybe we can swap him. Maybe they can have Nunes back in Portugal. He did tear it up there. I also wanted to cover this. Where is it? I've got loads of tabs open, sorry. Okay, so it's this one here. So this is on the Anfield Index. So this was the article article that I wanted to cover about Nunes. So it could be make or break for Nunes. Catalan club are poised to swoop if Liverpool cut their losses. I mean, I can talk about his numbers, but there's just no point really. Like, it's just not been good enough. Like, he's just not scored enough with the chances that he's had, and unfortunately, sometimes that's all it is. Just put the ball in the back of the net. I think what's interesting as well is this. I wanted to show you this. Where is it? Is it this page? Sorry, bear with me. Nope. Is it that? Yeah, it's this. Okay. So this was interesting. So we talked about Arne Slot not playing with a natural 9. Now I found this stat. Well, I found this map actually, and I thought it was a really interesting view. Does that come up better? Yeah, it does. Cool. So if you look at this, you can see. Hang on, I need to bring that up a bit. Okay, yeah. So if you look at this, you can see that the red circles are the number of passes. So the more highlighted in red is the line, which is where the ball goes most. So these are the passes, the triangles, which go to players more. And if you've noticed, look at the player who has the least number of passes on the pitch. It's the centre forward. So that means we don't play with a centre forward naturally, or we don't have a player who is good enough to be involved in the game enough. And who are our centre forwards? We have Jota and we have Nunes. Jota's not had a great start to the season, as we all know, even though he scored 4 goals and 2 assists in 9 games. We agree that he's not had the best of seasons so far. And Nunes has been terrible. These are the players that are playing in the number 9 position, which is the centre forwards position. They are not getting the ball enough. And I think that's a really interesting stat because Diogo Jota doesn't play 90 minutes. Most games he's come off at 60, 70 minutes, and then Nunes has played. Well, Nunes hasn't done anything differently, which means he's not getting the ball either. So we need to work this out to get that player more involved in their game, because you can see who has the ball the most. Well, it's pretty obvious that it's the 2 centre backs, defensive midfielder, which could be McAllister, it could be Gravenberch. Dominic Szoboszlai gets the ball a lot, Andy Robertson gets the ball a lot. Luis Diaz gets the ball a lot, or Cody Gakpo when he's played, or Mo Salah. I think what's really interesting is the two players that aren't receiving the ball as much in the game is Trent, believe it or not, and Nunes or Jota. And that's just a fact. Like we can see that, we can see it in front of us. These are the visuals. So I think it's really interesting. And a player that hasn't performed this season for me is Nunes. And another player that hasn't performed this year for me is Trent. Trent's been poor this season. Very poor. So I think it's really interesting that the dynamics of the way Liverpool play under Slot, the numbers kind of show you there. And I also feel that this is also another huge plus for Liverpool this season. And it's Virgil. Like Virgil just very rarely gives the ball away. Like 94% of his passes. Like look how many of his passes are long. Like he's doing what Trent used to do under Klopp, because that's what we should have been doing in the first place. We should have been utilising our centre backs who can pass the ball long. We don't need to have a right back that does it, because the right back should be up the pitch, maybe, or defensive cover. I don't know, or just being a right back. Who knows? But I think that's really interesting to see as well. And I also think this is really interesting as well, because I think this could be a lovely platform for Curtis Jones to catapult himself back into the Liverpool team. He had an unbelievable game against Crystal Palace, whether you like it or not, whether you even seen the game like with your own eyes that he had. But he had a 98% pass accuracy, 58 touches, 4 recoveries, and 6 out of 10 duels. And he created 2 big chances. And this was really his first big game back. And he was sensational. He was a major catalyst to how well we played against Crystal Palace in the first half. Because then he had to go into midfield, centre midfield, and replace McAllister, who went off with an injury. But he was sensational. Gave the ball away once. And that was that little flick at the end of the game where he got caught on the ball. Really, really good game, Curtis. Really hope he catapults into that again. And you know, people seem to have written him off. Slot has not written this guy off. Slot really, really rates Curtis Jones. He just needs to cut out the injuries, and I think we'll be fine. Another real interesting number as well is just how well Diaz has done. As you can see, massively in the high in greens for ball retention, box involvement, carries, final thirds, possession involvement. Also involved in interceptions and defensive work rate as well. His shots have been high. His shot volume's been good. Really, really good. Really, really good. Okay, so I think it's time to talk about him. Yep. So looks like this lad may well have got in his ear a bit more. His best mate. There's a lot of rumours that have been floating around. As soon as Carvajal got injured, everybody was linking him to Real Madrid again. but Marcia have actually done a front page spread on him now. Definitely not Bob. Definitely not. More like Jude, Steele, and Trent. Also, evening chills. If you have got any comments you want to make, if you have got any comments you want to make, or you want me to read out any of your posts, just send us a super chat and I'll read them out. Okay, every little helps. So what do we want to talk about, Trent? Okay, so it's on all the tabloids, by the way. So it's in the Mirror. Real Madrid hatch new January transfer plan. Ahmed Trent. That's in the Mirror. It's in what other papers are in? It's where is it? So it's on what's this one out of? Yeah, as soon as Carvajal got injured, and he's out for the season, by the way. The Real Madrid stuff just started circulating about Trent. They've only got Lucas Vasquez, who's actually not a right back. He's actually a right winger, and he's going to be their cover until January. I mean, who knows? So this is some of the stuff which is around. So Carlos Ancelotti's Real Madrid have a plan in place. So this is Marca via Sport Witness. Looking at Trent. I mean, it's really going to increase now, unfortunately. So Carvajal's injuries complicated things. 180,000 week stars, an excellent relationship with Jude Bellingham, and they're looking to use Jude Bellingham to persuade him. He'll also get a huge signing on bonus, and the agent fee is unlikely to be a problem. That's the article here. Then there's another article, because there seems to be loads. Where's this one? Nope, that's that. Yeah, this one here. So this is a Spanish website. So this is according to Marset, who have provided an insight into the situation. Los Blancos, Los Carvajal. So where is it? So as per Marset, Los Mengeres boss would be more than happy to oversee the talents of AlexanderArnold. And he's been a long fan of Trent for a number of years. I also wanted to cover this as well, which is in the Anfield Watch. So I don't know whether I actually want to read the whole article, but it'd be interesting to see what everyone else thinks, because I was listening to Kopish, and I've also listened to Hassan, and there's a lot of others, and a lot of people seem to feel that if anybody leaves, he is the one that is replaceable, because of the way Slot plays, because of the system that Slot plays. It'd be interesting to find out in the chat if you think he could be replaced. So give me a 1 if you think he can be replaced, and give me a 2 if you think he can't be replaced as a right back. Okay, because he's playing as a right back. because he's playing as a right back. Like that's just what it is. Like he is playing as a right back for us. I also wanted to quickly touch on this as well. That's a lot of ones. I mean, it's really interesting because the Liverpool Echo. Actually, I'm going to show you this. So Liverpool Echo did a poll. So Liverpool Echo did a poll on whether what Liverpool fans felt about Trent leaving or not. And 55% of Liverpool fans from Liverpool said that they would rather we sold him and got some money in January than lose him on a free transfer. I mean, 45% are against selling him completely, but 55% of the fans are happy to sell him. Like, do we sell him to Real Madrid because they're desperate for 50 million? Is that worth doing than losing him on a free? Because we are in limbo now. We're in a situation now where there's rumours coming out that we've tried 3 times to get this contract done, and we've not been able to get it done. And Real Madrid have spoken to him 7 times, apparently, according to various articles. I think 50 million is a bad deal as well, but he's literally going to walk out the club in June. So, do you get 50 million to get a replacement, or do you let him walk out the club in June? Because the issue I've got is he ain't been good. Like, he's actually been a negative for us. And I want to show you some of his numbers because he's been a problem for us this season. Because he's been skinned so many times. Like, I know we're playing really well. I know we've scored a lot of goals. But a lot of the opposition's chances have been because he's not been tracking runners, or he's not made tackles, or players have gone past him. I know we've only conceded 2 goals. I totally get that. I totally get that. But the chances that have happened have been down the right-hand side still. Like, everything seems to be going down the right-hand side still. It's not changed. And he's given the ball away a lot. Like, this season, it's the worst passing he's ever done in a Liverpool shirt. It's like under 70% of pass completion this season. And he's not even doing the long balls now. But he's having to do more tackles. He's having to do more defensive work. And he doesn't want to do defensive work. Like when are we going to see that this guy does not want to be a defender? Like, I can see it every single game when he's charging into midfield and trying to attack and leaving a massive space behind us that poor Konate's got to cover. Like, when are we ever going to see this? Like, Slot is not going to use him the way Trent wants to be played. And for him to come out in an interview and say, oh, I'm being taught how to defend. Are you kidding me? Like, you should know how to defend because you're a right back. Like, you shouldn't be coming out and telling people, oh, I'm learning how to defend. Are you out of your mind? Like, you should know how to defend because that's your job. Like, that is what your job is. You are a right back. You should be defending. Anyway, so I mean, just looking at the people that have said here, it looks like more people are happy for him to be sold. He's done an incredible amount for us. Like, I'm not denying that, and I'm not denying he's not an incredible player. And I'm going to give him some kudos here as well because these are the underlying numbers for the lad. Like 233 games, 15 goals, 59 assists. That's absolutely sensational in the Premier League. It's absolutely sensational. It really is. And we also have to put into context as well that we're talking about this guy like we're losing a Steve McManaman or a Michael Owen because he'll walk out on a free. I think the situation's different because if you look at a Michael Owen, that was a Michael Owen who was a Ballon d'Or winner. Okay, he was a Ballon d'Or winner. He was the best in the world. Like 2 years before he walked out the club, he was scoring a insane amount of goals for a forward in the Premier League at that time, because forwards didn't score that many goals back then, not to the extent that Michael Owen was, and he was still very young. McManaman was our best player when he left. He was our best player when we left. And the reason why McManaman left is because we tried to sell him to Barcelona without him knowing. And he found out because we didn't want to give him a big contract. There was a lot of issues with Roy Evans, like Roy Evans' staff, because like I don't know why we couldn't get Michael Owen signed up on a new deal. I just don't know why. Maybe it was the money. Like maybe it was because he was a Ballon d'Or winner. Maybe it was just because Liverpool didn't have the ambition back then. But like McManaman didn't win enough trophies with Liverpool, and that's unfortunate. Michael Owen won trophies with Liverpool. But you're putting Trent in a bracket like that when these guys didn't have any good players around them. Like Trent was a right back with world class players all around him. Like he wasn't on his own. Like I'm not having it that the fact that this guy is lauded to such an extent when Andy Robinson has got exactly as many assists in the Premier League. Like he's got exactly the same amount of assists, and he's probably got like what 10 goals less. And you're trying to, and there's no one waxing lyrical about Andy Robinson. Like there's no one saying that he's generationally one of the best players in the world. Like like Trent hasn't been in the top 5 best right backs for about 4 years, 3 years. About 3 years for me. Like this season, he's not been great. Last season, he wasn't great. And the season before, he wasn't great. I mean, he was really bad the season before. And the season before that, he was good for maybe half a season. So I don't think he's a loss. I really don't think he's a loss. I actually think it might actually benefit Liverpool for someone like that to leave, because there's this huge cloud over him because he was Jurgen's 18-year-old like prodigy, and he made him who he is. He's won everything with Liverpool with Jurgen, and is that going to happen with Slot? Like, I think it would help Slot if he maybe got rid of him, and if we get 50 million for him, then bonus. And I don't know who to buy. Like, if I'm completely honest, if you want a really solid player to play as a right back for Liverpool, then I wouldn't look anywhere else apart from Joe Gomez, who's already at Liverpool and he's 27 and he's absolutely fantastic. And he was quite possibly the best left back in the Premier League last season. So just move him over to the right. And he's actually right footed anyway. So I think that would make a lot of sense. And then you have Bradley as Gomez's backup. And then you phase Gomez out when he turns like 29, 30. And then Bradley comes on then when he's like 22, 23. And I just think that makes a lot more sense. And we probably don't need a guy to play there. We probably need a guy on the left. Because if you're looking at Slot's numbers, and if you're looking at the heat maps for players and who gets the ball the most, the left back gets the ball a lot. So maybe we need a left back. Look, Trent's a fantastic player. I'm not dissing him at all. But under Slot, I'm not sure he's the guy that's going to be the guy that we need as a right back moving forward under Slot, because he doesn't like defending. And he's got 319 games under his belt, 19 goals, 81 assists. It's hard to say he's not a fantastic player. But he really has dropped off the last couple of years. That's kind of my view on it, really, unfortunately. Have we got any more numbers to show you? Especially on Trent. No, oh yeah, actually, I'll show you this. So this is a really interesting stat, and it also brings some of the players into the picture here. Okay, so this basically explains the defensive work rate of our team. So McAllister and Jota are our two most defensive action players on the pitch. So as you can see in the red, that's the tackles. And then you've got interceptions in blue, you've got fouls in purple, and you've got clearances in orange. And you can see McAllister's heavily involved. Diogo Jota's heavily involved. Diogo Jota, like he wins a lot of air challenges, as you can see in the blue, almost the same as Virgil van Dijk, which is insane. But you can see that Trent is quite low on aerials, clearances, fouls, and also interceptions. He's having to do more tackles, but he's lost a lot of challenges this season. Like, I think he's gone for over 20 challenges this season, and he's only won 50%, which is not what we need. Andy Robinson's just hasn't been involved in challenges this season, and I just don't know why. Like, defensive work rate just isn't really there for those two guys. Konate and Virgil massively involved in headers. Mo Salah's quite heavily involved in stuff as well now, which is good to see. Obviously, Luis Diaz is always involved in tackles, and you can see Dom's involved as well. Like, a lot of the players are heavily involved. Trent's quite low on that list with Robbo, which kind of shows that he's not that influential defensively, and he probably needs to be honest, a lot more. So we need better fullbacks. For me, we really do. I mean, two of the most underrated, two of the most poorly rated players this year have been Kostas Tsimikas, Darwin Núñez, and Trent. That's by the fans. Like, that's just been voted. So that was in the Liverpool Echo as well. I haven't got the article though, unfortunately. So I just wanted to show you that. Talked about Trent. Actually, so I'll bring up this bit here actually. So this also covers the other players. So Liverpool are scrambling to position themselves a little more favourably after losing PR battles with Trent, Mo, and Virgil. Obviously, all three have now spoken up and said that they haven't tied down contracts, and we haven't spoken to them. We have spoken to them. I just think it's bull. So Richard Hughes has now gone on the offensive to tie up other deals. in Quansa, Konate, and Diaz. Konate is a pressing matter. His deal expires in 2026. Quansa has been tied down to a 4-year deal. I think the Diaz deal will get done as well. I think he's on 54 at the moment, so he'll probably get double. The interesting thing is, and I've spoke about this before. I'm going to go on camera now. So I spoke about this before. Is if you add Virgil, Trent, and Mo's wages together, they come to like nearly 750,000, which is an incredible amount of money. And if you're looking at renewing Trent, you're probably going to end up, if you're looking at renewing Trent, Virgil, and Salah on the wages they want, you're probably going to end up breaking the 1 million mark. So that's 1 million a week for 3 players, and one would be 33, one would be 32, and one would be 26. And I just don't think Liverpool are going to do it. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to want. I think they expect those 2 guys who are in the 30s to take pay cuts, and unfortunately, because of Saudi Arabia, I just don't think they're going to do it. I just don't think they're going to do it. And whether we like it or not, like, if we think they're worth it, then we think they're worth it. But Liverpool aren't a club that can afford to make that mistake and to give Mo or to give Virgil a £300,000 contract when he's 33, and then next year he goes on a decline because of old age, and we just didn't see it coming. Just like it happened with Hendo, just like it happened with Fabinho, we just didn't see it coming. It would just not be what we do. It's just not what Edwards does. Like, he doesn't give long-term contracts to older players. Like, it will be a case of we probably just let both of them leave on freeze, and they may well end up in Saudi Arabia, or Mo might end up in PSG, and Virgil might end up at Real Madrid. I just don't know. And I totally agree. Like, I think Virgil van Dijk is the hardest one to replace, because Virgil van Dijk is just so good. Like, he is just so good. Like, he is the best defender in the world by 20%. Like, he's 20% better than any other defender in the world. And I mean, I get it. Like, Mo's on another level as well. Like, he's on 11 GA already this season, which is more GA than he's ever had in any other season at Liverpool in the first 10 games. He's already overtaken Didier Drogba as the most goals scored in any African in the Champions League with 45. He's already broken a record at Liverpool with the most goals in the Champions League at home. Like, he's already broken a record this season with goals scored in the first games of the season, which went ahead of Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney. And he's on par to probably get another 30 goals, 30 GA this season, which will be another mad record in a Premier League, which will probably overtake Thierry Henry's. I think he's only 2 goals away from Robbie Fowler, most Premier League goals scored. Obviously, Robbie Fowler played for other Premier League teams, not just Liverpool. So what do we do with Mo? Do we keep him for another year? I mean, for till the end of the season, and then he goes on a free, or do we renew his contract? Like, I just don't know. Like who do you replace Virgil and Mo with? Because you can replace Trent with Gomez and Bradley as backup. You just can. Like some of the players that we were linked with, Kavashvili's just smashed his ankle in, so he's out now for a couple of months. He's going to be 100 million. Mohamed Kudus, West Ham are wanting 85 million for him. That's now common knowledge. He wants to leave next season. Does he replace Mo? Like, that's 85 million. Like, I just don't know. Like, I just don't know. And obviously Russell's coming with Embuemo again. It could be. He could be the replacement. Like, I really don't know. But it's going to be an interesting last couple of months, because I don't think Liverpool are going to go all out to renew all three contracts. I just don't think Liverpool are interested. Like, they're not going to be drawn into this battle of, oh well, you're going to go on media, or you're going to go on an interview and say you haven't been offered a contract when you clearly have. Like, we've spoken to your agent. Like, we may not have spoken to you, but we've spoken to your agent. Like, it would be hilarious if we let Mo go on a free and then signed his replacement, who was the other winger who plays for Egypt with Mo in Mamouche. That would be funny. Jonathan David, absolutely. He's a good player. Is he good enough to replace Darwin Núñez? I don't know. Like, probably not. Like, I think we want to be aiming a bit higher. It's an interesting one. I'll do a couple more shout outs. We had loads more people in. If you haven't hit the like, please do. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Evening, Alexander. Evening, Goat. Evening, YNWA. Evening, Storm in a Teacup. Evening, Colin. I've still tried to make you a moderator, but I can't seem to find your channel. Can you put your channel in the comments on the actual channel, and I'll make you a moderator. Evening, Russell. Can I make you a moderator as well, Russell? Is that all right? Let us know. And also, Evening, Bonkers. Yeah, he was actually. That's a fair point. He was rubbish at the copper. Like, he was. I talked about this as well, Max. I talked about whether we would try and reduce our wage budget, and maybe that's what we're trying to do. Actually, you can make moderators, can't you? Keep it real. Can you make Russell Stubley a moderator, and Colin Blackshaw, please? Cheers, mate. Yeah, like maybe lower Mo's wage, and so Virgil, so they're down to what, like 250,000 each, or maybe lower Virgil's to 200 and lower Mo's to like 300, and then give Trent that extra 100. So then that puts him on like 280. Like, and that would kind of keep the wage structure the same. I mean, the same amount. And look, if Mo really wants to like become a legend at Liverpool and break all those records, you know, and jump ahead of Billy Little and all of those guys, and Hunt and those guys, then he probably does have to take a pay cut. because you can't expect to pay him 350 grand a week when he's 32. Like James Milner took a pay cut. Like and yeah, you know, you can earn 1 million a week in Saudi Arabia, but you can go and play in front of 100 fans, mate, if you want. Like, and that is the issue. You're absolutely right. It is the issue. They want 3-year contracts, and we're only willing to offer 2 because we're trying to protect the club, and we're not a club that can make mistakes like that. Because you're basically making a 21 million pound a year mistake, like on you know, and that's just one player. It could be even more. Like it could be 30, 40, 50 million pounds mistake on just that 1 year contract for a couple of them. And the stuff that I've heard as well is like Trent's agent's his brother, and he's just asking for just stupid money. Like it's just stupid money. Like he's on 180,000. If we gave him 250, I think that's fair. But he's asking for 400, and just crazy numbers. Like just you know, look, if you think you're that good, mate, then just go and play for Real Madrid then, and let's see how good you are there. You know, it's just he's not worth it. Unfortunately, he's just not worth it for me. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but it's not FSG. like seriously, it's a group. Like I don't need to go into the FSG thing. Like FSG is a conglomerate of like 20 odd people. Like so, it's a lot of other people that are involved. Um, it, look, we did make a 70 million pound mistake on Nunes. You're absolutely right. And also even an L810. I've not seen you on the show before. If you're a new subscriber, please let us know, mate. I agree as well. But he thinks he can get that, and you know he's the face of Guess. He's the face of Adidas. Um, you know he's getting all of these sponsorship contracts. He wants to become the face of Liverpool, and you know if he wants to be that, then he has to sign a new contract, and he has to kind of stay in our wage structure because we're not breaking it for him. We're not breaking it. We broke it for Mo, and I still think that was a bad idea, by the way. But we broke it for Mo, and you know we broke it by 100,000 for Mo. I can't see us breaking another wage structure for Trent. I can't see it. So you know, are you going to give him 400 grand, and then the another player who's his age, the next player as his age is on what 150? Like because you've got Mo at 350, you've got Virgil at 220, you've got Trent at 180, you've got Robbo at 160, and then you've got everybody else under 150. Like Allison's at 150 and McAllister's at 150 and I think Gravenberch is at 140, and you've got everyone kind of just cascading down like that. So for him to go above all of them, and he's just a right back, and he's not actually going to be playing the way he played under Jurgen. So he's not going to be inverting. He's not going to be, you know, doing all of that mad stuff. Like all the games just revolves around him. He's the one who has all the most touches. Like there isn't a game this season where he's had more than 50 touches. And last season he was having 100 touches per game, pretty much. I know. Ali's on 150. Like Ali's on 150. I know. So like if that's not enough money for you, then cheerio. um. Okay. So what else did I want to talk about? I think I've covered quite a lot. I wanted to show you this actually. I thought this was interesting. This is a really cool stat. So if you look at this is on Opta. They got some really good stuff on Opta, by the way. If you look at all of the teams in the Premier League, there are only 2 teams that are exactly where they are for how well they played. And that's Aston Villa, who are 5th, and that's Liverpool at the top. Every other team is either overachieving, or underachieving. So if you look at the likes of Newcastle, the way they play, as in XG against, goals, chances, everything adds up for them to be 7th. But they're underachieving. Sorry, everything adds up for them to be, 11th, and they're overachieving, and they're 7th. If that makes sense. Hang on, let me read that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, sorry. Okay. Right. Okay, so they're 11th in the league, but they should be 7th with the way they played. Yeah. And then you got the likes of Ipswich. Ipswich are 20th, and they should be 17th for the way they played. So it just, what I'm really showing you is the manager is getting the optimal performance out of the team in the way they play to the position they should be in. And I think that's really interesting, because one of the managers that I wanted to replace Klopp with was Unai Emery. And he's doing really well with Aston Villa. And the guy we got in to replace Klopp is Slot. And look what he's doing with Liverpool. Fantastic. Like, just thought that was a really interesting point. And I mean, we talked a lot as well about injuries over the years. Like, we've got this PTSD about players being injured. So far this season, we've had Curtis Jones, which was an international injury. Yeah, we've had a Chiesa slight knock, and he's back now. We've had McAllister come off with a bit of a niggle, but he went on international duty, so that obviously wasn't an issue. And then we've had Alisson with a hamstring tear, which is probably just down to the fact that Alisson's getting old, and Alisson gets injuries regular now. And it makes a lot of sense for the reason why we got Mamardashvili now, because I feel that Alisson will probably be sold in the summer. Yeah, I said Elliot. Also Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones got a slight. He got an injury as well, didn't he, Curtis Jones? But that was at the end of pre-season. That injury. And nobody else has had any injuries. Like, we've only had one injury, like, in a match, that's actually, like, the players come off injured. Oh, sorry, 2. Well, the McAllister one was a weird one because he was taken off, but he was actually okay. But the Ali one, he was literally subbed. And obviously you've got Queven Keller, who was sick, but he was just sick. Like, that's not really injured, that's just sick. So it's really only one injury in a game, which kind of shows that we're doing things differently. Like, and I thought it was really interesting to see a couple of the changes which Slot's obviously talked about. There was one which is really odd, but it makes a lot of sense. And it was a change that he's made in the home games, because every home game, the Liverpool players and the staff stayed in the hotel before the game. So they stayed at the Titanic Hotel apparently, which was every like a pre-match thing that they did with Jurgen. So they'd do their last training session at Melwood, and then they go to the hotel, and then they spend the night in the hotel, and then they go from the hotel to Anfield, and then they start their home game. And that's happened for the last 2 years, by the way. Like, and that's really weird because those 2 years we've conceded more goals than we've ever conceded, like in seasons, like an insane amount of goals early on in games as well. And Slot's got rid of it. Slot stopped that because he wants players to spend as much time as they can in their own homes, and their staff as well, to obviously keep the harmony, and keep family life. Like why take the players away from their homes the day before a game when they can just come from their homes to the game? Like, why do that? Like, yeah. So I thought that was a really interesting one. And also he trains at 12 o'clock as well, which is also an interesting one, because Jurgen used to train in the morning, because he does press conferences in the morning, and Jurgen didn't do them in the morning. He did them in the afternoon because he had the guys training in the morning, but he doesn't. They start training in the afternoon now. So that's another different thing. And also, if you look at the players as well, they look like they've got less muscle. It looks like they're leaner, and we're producing more runs, more pressing. There's obviously less. There's less training sessions now. There's less training sessions that are based around muscle and also running, which is something which Jurgen made them do. I just think that like these are the things which are making a difference. It's the small things. We do need to sort out the set piece though, because I think we've been really poor at set pieces, and I also think that in January I think Slot needs backing. I think he needs to maybe get a few players in that are his players, and he needs to stop getting asked about Jurgen Klopp stuff. Like, just leave the guy alone. Like he's our new guy now. You need to back him. What else did I want to say? I think I've covered everything that I wanted to today. Yeah, that was it. Okay. Yeah, I know. I know. I don't think we've actually got one. I think we've just got a coach that we've just put into the role. I'm just going to do a couple more shout outs before I head off. Big up Polo Mint. Evening Songs 4K. I actually talked about him previously, if you want to replay it back, mate. Yeah, so I think that's us for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show and the news. I'll be going on Jamie's in about 45 minutes, so if you want to just tune into his, I'll actually put it in the chat now. If you want to just jump onto his after this finishes, and then just write in KMAT Raid, that would be great. I'll put the. Actually, you can go there right now because he's live. Yeah, he's been on for 6 minutes. So if you want to jump in to his channel and write KMAC Raid, and I'll be there shortly. I will see you all later, up the Reds. I'm out of here.